Child of the Dream by Sharon Robinson. Chapter 3. Cleaned up and bandaged, I joined my grandmother in the kitchen so we can get going on my birthday cake. The mixer is on the countertop along with the cake, flour, butter, milk, and vanilla flavoring. The 3 women in our house are all great cooks. Mom is good all around, but Willette and Grandma are the bakers. Grandma and I have been cooking together for 3 years. I know her routines and expectations. She knows my moods. Grandma takes one look at me and knows something's up. "Did you have a good ride?" she asks as I cozy up next to her. "Not really," I reply, avoiding eye contact and focusing instead on the open cookbook. I reach into the spice cabinet and pull out the other dry ingredients: salt, baking powder, and sugar. "Remember the day Diamond arrived?" Grandma says with a chuckle as she hands me the sifter and measuring cup. "You and David were so excited, you took turns hopping on his back." "He reared straight up in the air as soon as we were settled in the saddle," I say, and then laugh along with Grandma. Looking back, it was kind of funny. I poured 2 cups of cake flour into the measuring cup and slide it towards my grandmother for her approval. "That horse has a mind of its own. Good thing you watch all those TV westerns. You and David look like Annie Oakley and the Lone Ranger up there on that horse." She nods and pushes the measuring cup back to me. Mostly Grandma trusts me, except when it comes to baking, with its needs for perfection. "He's tough to handle sometimes," I admit, dumping the flour into the sifter. "Give him time, darling. Horses are like people. It takes time to trust someone else. You and Diamond are just getting to know each other." "It's been 6 months," I protest. "That's a short time. I'm no expert at horse training, but your grandfather was. He worked on a ranch for years before we got married. He used to talk about handling horses. They're strong animals. They can sense when you're afraid or not in control. Please don't tell Mom, but I fell off of him this morning." I beg. "Cut my leg pretty bad." "Let me see it." "It's okay now. I cleaned it up and put on a bandage." "It could have been much worse," Grandma says. "Not the birthday present you were hoping for." "I won't ask if you used the saddle." "I'm not even sure if it would have helped." "You've got the makings of a really good rider. Now you need to learn how to communicate better with your horse." But enough about Diamond. We've got to focus on getting this cake made before your mother gets home. She'll want to get in this kitchen and make your birthday dinner. I love my grandmother, and I'm thankful every day that she came from Los Angeles to live with us. When I was 10 when Mom went back to graduate school in New York University and decided to bring her mother, Zellie, closer. Willette had been our live-in help, but with Grandma around, we had an extra layer of love and support. The fact that she is an amazing cook is an added bonus. In her younger days in Los Angeles, Grandma was a highly respected caterer. She worked a number of Hollywood parties. My mother worked with her and had some funny stories to tell about it. Grandma had learned the art of cooking and restaurant business from her parents. Her dad was a chef on the railroad for many years before the president of Mexico enticed him to open a restaurant in the border town of Nogales. Mom and her brother would help out during the summer breaks. Nana, my great-grandmother, kept a shotgun below the cash register. One summer, she chased a robber out of the restaurant and uphill until he disappeared. Birthday cakes are one of Grandma's specialties. My brother prefers yellow cake with chocolate icing. I prefer white cake with buttercream icing. Since Dad's diabetes was a diagnosis, we limit our sugar intake. Grandma does her part and mostly bakes monkey bread, biscuits, apple pie, and pound cake without icing. But she still always makes her famous cakes for our birthdays. I carefully measure out baking powder, salt, and sugar while Grandma provides a second pair of eyes. Then Grandma blends my dry mix in with her wet fingers, fluffing it into a creamy batter. Grandma spoons the batter into greased pans and slides them into the oven. I take the bowl of remaining batter with me to the kitchen table. While I snack on the leftover batter, Grandma pulls out her decorating tools. She will fill her pastry bag with icing, and she uses the attached tools to decorate my cake with pink, yellow flowers and green leaves. "Grandma, is turning 13 really a big deal?" I ask. I'm still somewhere between girly girl and tomboy. A year ago, Willette and I packed up the last of my dolls, but I also stopped playing touch football with the neighborhood boys. I'm beginning to wonder what's next. Sure is, my sweet girl. You're a teenager now. Your body and mind will change as the hormones kick in. Grandma, I know all that stuff, I groan. I know you do, but that was just the beginning. More's coming. Like what? I ask as I lick the last of the batter off my rounded end of the spoon. The bowl is scraped clean. Grandma joins me at the kitchen table. Once I got interested in boys, you couldn't tell me anything. Honestly, Grandma, I go to school with a bunch of white boys. They're okay to play volleyball with, but I don't know about more than that, I tell her. She chuckles. In a way, that's good, Grandma says as she gets up from her chair and walks back to the sink. But that will change, she adds. You'll start going to Jack and Jill parties, you'll meet plenty of black boys, and you'll feel more included. I just hope I'm not as unhappy as Jackie, I say, getting up to help Grandma wash the dishes. I hand her the mixing bowl I had been eating out of at the table. Your brother is a special case. It's tough being named after someone famous. Folks expect so much out of you, she says, looking directly at me. My brother's full name is Jack Roosevelt Robinson, Jr. He's named after our dad. Jackie Jr. was born shortly before Dad broke the color barrier in the Major League Baseball. He's just a little more than 3 years older than me. By the time I was born, Dad was in his 4th season. Our younger brother, David Raymond Robinson, was born 2 years after me. David and I were too young to appreciate our father's accomplishments on the field, but we knew he was the first African American player in the Major League Baseball. Rookie of the Year in 1947, League MVP in 1949. In 1955, Dad stole home in Game 1 of the World Series and helped the team win their only championship. They even made a movie about him. It was called The Jackie Robinson Story. Dad played himself, and Ruby Dee, a famous actress, portrayed Mom. Jackie Jr. was also portrayed in the film. That's how recognizable his name is. That's how much of a spotlight is put on Jackie Jr. Yeah, I remember when Jackie Jr. used to play baseball and people would compare him to Dad. That wasn't fair, was it? Not at all, but sometimes adults can be insensitive too. You'll face some of that too, you know. But I'm a girl. No one will expect me to play baseball. True, but you're still going to be held to a very high standard. I have faith in you, she says, handing me the wet wooden spoons so I can dry them. I promise you, Grandma, I will keep working hard, I say, placing the dry spoons in the drawer. Grandma smiles as I head for Dad's transistor radio. I flick it on and turn the dial away from 1010 WINS News to a station playing pop music. The Chiffons hit the first beats to It's My Party. The song makes me sad. It's about a girl who gets her heart broken at her own party. I wipe tears off my cheek, feeling selfish, but honestly, I should be having a party tonight for my special birthday, and my dad should be here for it. Dad was only supposed to be in the hospital for 2 to 3 days. It's been over a week. He must be sicker than Mom's letting on. Grandma looks over at me. My, they do play some sad music on this radio station, she says. Look, Sharon, you're old enough now that I can be honest about this. Your father's diabetes has complicated the recovery. I thought that those insulin shots controlled diabetes. They help you, but type 1 diabetes is tricky. It's making your father's recovery from this infection harder. He's a strong, determined man, though. Don't you worry. Your father's not going to lay up in some hospital much longer. He's anxious to get home and back to work. I bet he's worried about Jackie. For 2 weeks, my brother has been too busy to visit Dad in the hospital. But too busy with what? All he does is stay out late at the pool rooms and then sleep all day. I suspect that he's failing at school again and might not even be going to class at all. Grandma nods. She's boiling water for tea and not looking at me. We all are, she finally admits. How about we make a deal? What's that? Let's celebrate your special birthday and put our worries aside. And when you see your father tomorrow, focus on how happy you are to see him and don't mention your worries about Jackie. Deal, I say, as I tell him by the Exciters comes on the radio. It's a song about telling a boy that you like him. I slither down in my chair before Grandma can see the look on my face. Chapter 4. 15 balls line the inside of the wooden rack. 7 are striped and 8 are solid, counting the black 8 ball in the middle. Jackie Jr. carefully removes the mold and places the white cue ball in its spot. He stands back and studies the setup before signaling to me. You break, Jackie says while rubbing a square block of chalk on the tip of his cue stick. For me, playing pool is an occasional thing. It's a way of life for Jackie, a lifestyle that fits his rebelliousness, a way to gamble and make money. He plays at home and in pool halls. Jackie is good. He usually takes charge of the game, and including the break. So why is he changing things up now? Come on, sis, it's your birthday. I'll go easy on you. Sure, but Candy and I want to play a game of pool all of ourselves, or by ourselves. I glance over at my best friend. She arrived at my house for my birthday sleepover right after Grandma and I cleaned up from baking. She's perched on top of a tall bar stool. Her long legs almost reach the ground. She flashes me an encouraging smile. I grab the chalk and put some on my stick. I know using the chalk makes you less likely to scratch, and I'll need all the help I can get. First game is you and me. I want to see if you remember all I taught you. Now I'm really intimidated. I run my fingers along the edge of the green felt and slowly move down the length of the table. My big brother is so handsome and strong. He used to like playing baseball and football, but lately only pool interests him. In pool, he's not trying to compete with Dad or live up to his name. But spending time in pool halls puts Jackie in a sketchy adult world of dark rooms full of smoke and alcohol. He and Dad argue about this lifestyle and his disregard for the rules. In 3 years, Jackie had been in and out of 2 high schools, including a recent suspension from boarding school. He is back at home and going to Rippewam High School, but not doing much better. We're all afraid he'll drop out of school altogether when he turns 17. Then what? The Army? I hate the tension. There are nights when I wait up for Jackie to get home safely, and then cover my head so I won't hear the argument. Aim here, Jackie says. He points to the red dot in the middle of the white ball. And be careful with the felt. We are on the lower level of our 2-story house in our playroom. It's right next to my dad's trophy room. But most of the space in here is taken up by massive adult toys like Jackie's pool table and Dad's indoor golfing range. I claim the soda fountain as my spot. I'm the self-proclaimed queen of milkshakes. When our house was being built, they found huge boulders above and underground throughout the property. The contractors smashed some of them up and used them as building material. But a few of the boulders were too big, like the one that juts into the playroom. The contractors couldn't move it, so they built the interior wall around it. There are 2 more that stick out on our front lawn. During summer baseball games, we designate one of the boulders as home plate and one as first base. I look up and see David leaning against the massive rock. He gives me the thumbs up for luck. I lean over the table, and my right hand helps balance the cue stick on my hip. The long stick threads along my body and lands between the fingers of my left hand. I test its movement. I have no illusion of winning this game, but a clean break would be nice. Looking good, Cher, Jackie says. He steps back and crosses his arms over his chest. I stay focused. The stick is in the circular space created by my thumb and index finger. The remaining fingers lift into a bridge. I pull the stick back slowly and then shove it forward. Wham! The white ball busts open the triangle of colored balls, sending them flying in all directions. My heart pounds. I hold my breath as the solid yellow ball rolls towards the middle pocket. It teeters on the edge, then drops in. I jump up and down. Great shot, Candy yells. David hustles over and slaps me on my back. Even Jackie's face is plastered with a grin. What's your next shot, he asks. I study the position of the pool balls. The orange one is near the far right pocket, but it's not a sure shot. I'm not calling, I say as I bend back down to take a second shot. That means I don't have to pick which pocket the ball goes in. Jackie's so good at pool, he always calls his shots before he shoots. This time, the ball clacks into one another, shifting positions, but none go in. I step away from the table as Jackie steps up to it. Number 15, left corner pocket, he says. He lands the ball. 10, right corner. With little effort, Jackie knocks his 7 striped balls into the pockets one by one until he's down to just the 8 ball. 8 in the middle, he calls out, and the magic happens again. Wow, I say, wishing schoolwork came as easy for Jackie. Maybe then he wouldn't hate it so much. Don't sweat it, sis. This is what I do. You're the best, I say. Candy, do you want to give it a shot? She laughs. No, thank you. What about you, Dave? Sure. At 10 years old, he has no fear. I watch my brothers play. Jackie confidently picking his shots, and David trying his best to keep up. I wish it could be like this all the time, I think to myself. While the boys play, Candy and I scoop vanilla ice cream into the blender. I add milk and vanilla flavoring, cover the blender, and switch it on. Game used baseball bats from Dad's playing days fan out in the wall behind us. I don't usually spend much time looking at the stuff on the walls down here, but whenever we have company over, it's one of the first things everyone wants to see. Candy's over so much, she barely even notices it anymore. Before I know it, Jackie has beaten his little brother. It was even faster than our game. Got a split, Jackie tells us after drinking his milkshake. Have fun, but don't you mess with my table. I watch my brother climb the stairs. He stops on the top step and turns away from Dad's trophies. Thanks for playing pool with me, Jackie, I say to him. He smiles. Someday, I'll have just as many trophies for playing pool as Dad's got for his 10 years in the big league baseball. I stare at his back, wondering if they really give out trophies for winning games of pool in Stamford, Connecticut. Come on, Sharon, let's get your birthday party started, Candy shouts. She's a good friend.